Hey guys, welcome back. So, this video is going to be called Why Trump Supporters Are Not Racist. And, the world is just astonished by the results. Like, you have to understand on a real level of how the world works, this man has conquered the world. This is the craziest thing ever. You have a man that started with $1 million, made a $3 billion corporation, thousands of like investments, and became the president of the United States of America after saying so much outlandish comments. Is just astonishing. You have to understand that that is the highest of the pinnacle of achievements in the world. And people, I respect that on that level. I just don't like him personally. Look, you have to understand that the underlying emotion that is going on behind people, like they'll suppress it, repress, express, or try to escape from the emotions that they're feeling. It's something that you can't ignore. There's this saying that the universe, anything in the universe cannot hide from itself, right? So it's always unveiling, no matter what. There's nothing you can't hide that's in the universe. The universe already is part of you, and you are part of the universe. So this becomes a frequent action, a frequent behavior. And of course, people have plausible deniability. They'll have their reasons of why they're doing it. It could be because they were drunk or something like that. That's a big excuse for a lot of things that people are doing, and they act like they don't know what's going on, or they don't know what's going on, or they don't know what's going on or what they're doing. And it's crazy because you start seeing that you can kind of control your emotions by bits and pieces, right? Anytime that we go through life crises, we feel better. There's this awareness that we have gone through it, we've gained some confidence, we're resilient, we became more of a person, knowing that the odds were against us and we can prevail, right? So of course, the same idea with the world. Blame is like the world's greatest excuse. You have to understand that people, when they blame other things, and of course, we put things in blame frames, we look at the negatives instead of the positives, it limits us. We allow ourselves to be limited, right? I can't do it because the odds are against me. And that's a great excuse without having any guilt whatsoever. It's the same idea of how people voted. Some people didn't even admit that they voted, and they won't admit that they voted for Trump. Craziest thing. So you have this idea that they feel like victims and they feel vulnerable, and of course nobody wants to feel vulnerable. They'll do something and they feel like this guilt, right? So they feel like they need to do better. They feel like they should be doing things better, like being a better husband, a better father, a better friend, colleague, boss, something like that. And there's a guilt behind it. And this is like behavior that is learned from the start, from the early ages of your life. So everything that Trump has ever said, this is learned behavior. That's why people say that those that have voted for Trump are racist, because he was raised in a specific way, in a certain way, so people that share his ideologies are the same. Now, I will admit that he's very, very ignorant. Like he says some ignorant shit. Materials. We start seeing the world like we need to conquer our jobs, money, women, and it becomes mine, right? Same thing with the elections. That's mine. Trump was my idea, so I put my ballot for him. And it becomes an extension of yourself. And people have so much grief of this and so much guilt that they can't even express themselves because society has told them not to show emotions, right? And if you show emotions, you're vulnerable. And that's for both sexes, right? So once we start, you know, kind of disassociating ourselves and seeing it as like the bigger picture, we see that we become a little bit more peaceful with ourselves, with our masculinity or femininity, right? Because the same thing goes with women. You know, they'll try to feel some compliments, especially when they get a new dress, and they feel bad if they don't, right? That actually happens. And what happens is that at the core, you're more, right? You have the ability to be a man and express your feelings at the same time. You have this understanding, right? So think about it like this. So you're more capable, more adequate, relating to others, right? More compassionate and loving, well-rounded, understanding, and mature. These words do not describe Donald Trump whatsoever. So you have this moral indignation, right? How right I was that Donald Trump was going to be the president of the United States, right? So what happens is that everything becomes superficial. You know, we want more admiration behind it, and then we start seeing once we have like success with it that there's this viciousness. This competitiveness of other people, this fawning, and of course the manipulation. That's why nobody, you know, well, not nobody, but I'm just saying that like after seeing Obama in office, they saw that the rhetoric was just phenomenal. Like the public relations that they had, and the way that they move people and shift blames and everything like that. Obama did an amazing job. Now, in terms of what he promised, it's not the same thing, obviously, but you can definitely say that the man is a very charismatic man. So, besides the point, this anger is never going to fulfill you. The best way to do it is to understand that you have to do it by being vulnerable. And the problem with, going back to the topic of Donald Trump is that people are reflecting their anger in this man, right? He is a personification of how angry America is on both sides, Democratic, Libertarian, and Republican. It's just crazy. I'm an advocate of the things that I speak of in terms of being an advocate for masculinity. I'm an advocate for spirituality. Look, I understand that the reflection of myself is always going to be what I put out in the world, because sometimes when I go out, there will be at least 5 guys that want to fight me for whatever reason, because I'm like 5'7", 135 and stuff like that. Last time that happened, the guy that actually worked at the bar that was like the hype man, he like choked me, and then like I spun around and like took him down. And all right, sorry about that. I actually just had a little moment where I just blanked out from the emotion. So now you understand why the outrage and how this actually happened, because Donald Trump, best salesman in the world, definitely sold America to America. Like, how do you do that? You do it by amping them up, get them ready, and even have some frustration about the lives that they're having. And of course, anybody will do anything to improve themselves and succeed. So there you go. He gave them hope. He gave them hope just like Obama gave America hope the same way. But one was rhetorical and one was a pitch, So it's different and the same at the same time. So now we'll see for the most part, but the underlying fact is that America is very frustrated. They're very frustrated with themselves. They want to improve and they don't know how to do it. And that's where we come in and try to teach other people to look at themselves and start from there. Love yourself. Because, I mean, Donald Trump loves himself, but not with with like a real love. He loves himself because that's what he's told himself, right? That he has to love himself instead of knowing that he loves himself. That's the difference, guys. All right, so hopefully this puts something in perspective, or whatever comment, I really don't care. I know I went off on a tangent and stuff like that just because, I mean, it's politics. We're supposed to be able to talk about politics. It's just the world, right? And if we can't, then what are we doing in our lives? Living vicariously through Donald Trump, I guess that works. I would suggest that you actually run for president and be the change that you want to be in the world. All right, guys. Peace.